All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Douglas Planning Board meeting for September 23rd, 2020. The meeting is being recorded and is available for viewing on the Douglas Public Access Channel and on the website. We'll come to order at 7 o'clock. All right, first item on the agenda. Discussion BWC Whiten Reservoir LLC Blue Wave Solar application for a preliminary subdivision plan, 45 Oak Street.
Mr. Chairman, I recuse myself. I'm on a butter.
Okay, let the record show that Mike Z has recused himself, and let the record show that Tracy is absent.
So in your packet, in addition to the application itself, we did receive an email today from Jeff Murphy from Beals and Thomas asking for a continuation to our next meeting, which is October 15th at 7, looks like 7:15.
7:15,
October what?
15th,
October 15th?
yeah,
That's our next, right?
that's our next meeting,
At 7, Bill?
7:15.
7:15?
This is the first item.
That's the first item, yeah.
Good.
All right, so we still have to, it's just discussion, so we can just move on.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a public meeting, actually.
Yeah, it's a public meeting, not a, all right.
So,
We have to wait till 7:15 and open the next one, which is a public hearing.
Right. You want to do some
So you want to take anything out of order, Bill?
business?
well, we've got Evan online, that's additional business number 1. Wallen Lakes.
Wallen Lake Solar, request for minor administrative changes, decommissioning bond, possible vote. Okay. All right. Evan, you there?
Oh, hold on.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Volume.
Oh, it's not that.
That might be his mic.
Is it your mic, perhaps?
It's coming over your speaker.
I can hear you very softly, but it might be your input adjustment or something.
Well, if you,
I'm at 100 here on my audio.
oh boy. It's not off.
I can only hear you through my computer, which is not typical.
I get nothing.
Maybe he muted himself.
Well, it doesn't say mute up
It's only between this and that.
Correct.
Is there a mute button on this?
there. Yeah, well, what is that on the speaker on that thing you just pulled out? It looks like, see, what is that little triple
Minus?
line?
Is that a minus?
Is that a mute?
I'm looking for mute. I don't see mute.
Yeah, I don't think it's. Actually, no, it does sound.
Speaker? Why don't you see what's cooking with that?
Hold on. There we go.
I didn't get anything. Guide, exit, return. I don't see a mute.
You might have to
Oh,
scroll.
hold on.
Oh,
Nope, that muted him.
There you go.
There you go.
So
So,
that's muted?
yep. Crank the volume. That's as high as we go.
All right, Bill, see where your name is on the right hand? See how you have a speaker going? Underneath it, he doesn't have a speaker.
He has a mic.
Yeah.
Is that it? No.
You want to call my cell phone, Evan? Okay. I don't know if that's going to help you.
it's an auspicious start.
Yeah, that might bring it over.
Some kind of audio between the two.
Who does sign language?
Yeah.
Who's the other person that test this out too?
He has to have muted himself, so. There you go, select speakers.
What about the default?
No.
No.
What?
Try that.
You think?
Did I try one of the
Right,
speakers?
try default. Go up.
Yep.
Either that or the 1, 2 up.
There we go.
There.
Go ahead.
How is this now?
It's good.
Very loud.
Yeah.
Try without the phone.
Try without the phone.
Without the phone.
Put your phone on mute.
Try it.
All right, I'm gonna mute my phone and then I'll try this one off and hang up again.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's getting a
You hear now?
How about that?
That's good.
Perfect.
Okay. Just give your name, please, Evan, for the record.
This is correct?
Yes, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Name for the
All
record.
right. Do I have the floor? Are we good to start? I'm just making sure.
If you could introduce yourself.
Just give your name for the record, please.
Yes, sir. So I'm Evan Turner, representing ASD Wallen MA Solar LLC, looking for an administrative change to the granted permit. The original granted permit specified the internal access road that rings the array, that there would be a 10-foot setback from that internal access road to the start of the solar module. We would like that to be reduced to a smaller amount, something like 2 or 3 feet is pretty typical. In effect, I just missed that was on the plans, and it should not have been. Otherwise, no change, just allowing us to get a little closer inside the array area to the access road with the module.
So in your packet, you have an email,
Yep.
has a figure at the bottom. Looks like this.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
It's in the packet. It's from Maria.
It's got Maria's name at the top.
Right there. It's in the back. It's in the
Yeah.
back of that mic.
So they're looking at the figure, Evan.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So,
Okay, Bill, yeah, we all got it?
Yeah. So can you, again, Evan, indicate what it is you're looking for on this?
Yes, sir. So you see in the picture you have in front of you, the top of that picture is the big gravel turnaround. And then if you go south from that, you see the box that says 10-foot array setback.
Yes.
Are we all looking at the same picture?
Yep.
And you see where that's pointing to a gap between the gravel access road and a line that represents the outside of the solar panels.
Yep.
So we would like to allow us to work inside that 10-foot array setback, just up to a foot or 2 or 3, whatever is comfortable, from the internal access road.
And that's all the way around, Evan, just so we're clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, my recollection is there was a setback from the fence of 50 feet, I want to say, at locations. Is that your recollection, Evan?
I believe that is a true statement in general.
Yeah.
That we've got 50 feet to the fence line, the tree line that we established. And then I don't know, remember if it's exactly or a minimum of 50 feet around that, between the road to the array, et cetera. So on that east side, yes, it is a little closer to the road/property lines, but on the rest of the site, it's still surrounded by hundreds of feet of trees.
Right. Right. So my recollection is when this was being discussed with the board, the concern was the proximity. That setback was to distance the array from the
fence.
abutters.
Yep.
yeah.
From the abutters.
Right.
And so, the abutters are, pretty densely populated, I guess, to the north and the east. So Wallem Lake roadside and Birch Hill roadside.
Right.
And I think the others are a little further. You got the stormwater system in between
Yep.
and woods on the other side of the road.
Yeah, they're all 2 acre lots.
Yes, sir. So
Yeah.
I can give you some numbers real quick when I open up my other program here to measure it, of the difference there. So we have 50 feet of trees, and natural trees, then we have our screening area. And as of that design, the modules are approximately 107 feet to the property line. So this would bring them closer to 101 or 2, taking 5 or 7 feet of that back.
Which
So,
And that's,
necessitates
and then
this?
that
What
would
change?
fly around the entirety of the array.
yeah.
On the north side,
Still intact.
currently, at the very closest point, the fence line which is, approximately the gate as well is 150 feet from the nearest property line.
So,
What,
So
so
there's,
what
you know,
changed?
that's a wooded buffer in
He's-
between as well there.
He-
And it
he's-
only gets bigger
from
and
the,
bigger.
from the,
Next to the battery, it's
Huh.
250 and even, 450 when you're looking at the
Yep.
stormwater, all the way to the west.
so Evan,
Inside the gate or the fence that is wooden and the screening that is, the landscape plan, and then inside the gravel road.
yeah,
We feel that, moving it 5 feet, is not a large change, since it's all within the fenced area.
so, question through the chair. So,
ahead.
to the applicant, Evan,
Les.
so you're still 50 feet off the property lines, and so technically you're still inside your building envelope? Because you,
We are 100 feet to the line, roughly to the line I'm talking about.
Correct. yeah, but the nearest,
50 feet in every room.
yeah. So the nearest property line, if you were looked at, frontage setback, you're still 50 feet off that back property line of the people that are on Wallam Lake Road. And all you're doing is you're shrinking from your access road that goes all the way around it to the array. You're shrinking that from a 10-foot offset to a 2 or 3 foot offset, which is still inside the fence.
So the access road isn't moving, everything that's involved with screening and access is staying the same.
Yeah,
We're
it's
just leaving less grass in between the.
correct, the setback. Okay.
Open grass.
That's not major.
No big deal.
Yeah.
Right, anybody else, questions, comments? Bill?
Well, I want to be specific here with what the request is.
Yep.
Is this to consider this a minor modification, Evan? And
Yes.
therefore, you can proceed forthwith with this?
That is the request, yes, sir.
So he's looking for the board to make a determination that this change is a minor modification and doesn't warrant, a modification formally to the permit.
The as-built will show if there's a change.
Correct.
So as long as we,
I mean, I have no problem with 5 feet. Give them 5 feet. I don't know about going within 2 feet of the roadway in case apparatus gets in there, it's starting to get pretty tight.
I don't have a problem as long as they still maintain the original buffer.
yeah, oh yeah,
They're only expanding within the.
Right.
The inside
I'm
fence
saying
of
they're
the
asking
array.
for, say, 7 feet.
So you're saying 50 feet from abutting properties?
It should, yeah.
yeah, he maintains that.
Should still maintain
Oh yeah, he maintains that.
the buffer.
That's what he shows here.
Yeah, they're doing that.
Yeah, they maintain that. I'm good with that. I'm also thinking like he's at 100 feet away from a property line. He could easily extend the road, the access road, and make that wider.
No,
Still,
that would be a.
no,
No,
which is not the goal.
Yeah.
which is not the
that's- I
goal.
mean,
So
they're not asking
No.
to change the road or
Correct.
anything
Which-
else.
which-
They're just
that's why I'm good
bringing
with-
the array closer to their,
yeah,
That's what I'm saying, I'm bringing the array closer, I mean, give them, split the difference, give them 5 feet.
I'm okay with the 7 feet that he's asking.
What kind of vehicles use this access road?
Pickup truck to cut the lawn.
So you can't be right.
They're not,
You
but
know,
then,
if-
It's emergency,
Knock
it's
things down.
emergency vehicle access.
Yeah,
So
that's
it
right.
could be anything, it could be a fire.
could be a fire
down the
truck, it
road.
could be anything.
Yeah.
But they're not making the road any
No,
smaller. They're
no.
just going closer to their inside road
the
that they
road.
use
I
for.
know that, but you can be driving down the road and bump into these
It's
things.
like a tree, having a tree 2 feet off the road or 5 feet off the road, there's a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the only people that would be in there is their company.
Their
It's,
company.
it's inside their
Right.
fence.
Yeah.
Now, what about the town going in to maintain,
14 feet wide. So
What
we
about
checked the turning radiuses on this, and there were no concerns.
what about the town going in there to maintain the retention ponds?
They maintain them. That's on the
Yeah.
backside.
How wide is the road now?
14,
It's 14, oh, that's plenty.
Yeah. And the retention ponds are on the back,
right.
On the backside.
Drive around it.
Yeah, that's plenty.
or they come in from Shore Road. Depends on how they access.
No, they wouldn't.
No.
I
No,
don't
they're
think
coming
so.
from the
From
side.
this road.
Okay. 14 feet though, that's a lot.
Right, Bill, you have any opinion on it?
No, I think it's a fairly straightforward request. It's really up to the board.
Yeah.
I'm good with it.
I have no problem with it being considered a minor change, but it's just determining on how, you're doing it just to get more panels in, right?
No.
Yes, sir. So like we found that when we
Wait, so-
did this, the edges of the panels overlapped in that 10-foot space, and it made a big enough difference on our total size to just be able to work to the edge of the road, more or less.
Wait, so-
Within construction tolerance. We're not like putting panels along the gravel.
Yeah.
But, if the guys got a little closer because the table of panels was X long, we want to be able to do that.
Well, can I ask a basic question? Based on your amount of panels you had before, now this is the first thing I heard, are you adding panels from the original design? No. I misunderstood what just got said.
We are smaller than the 11.2 that we conceived originally. That number is more of a maximum conceived size, the actual, what we get into permitting. Because when you get, like, we had wetlands that made it smaller than we might have expected. We make the permit size match our very original application to the utility. So it's not any way bigger than it was before. By megawatts, it's the size that this area can fit.
Bill,
And you're effectively getting 5 feet or 7 feet around the entire giant perimeter does add up to a couple hundred kilowatts.
Yeah.
I want to ask our engineer, so Bill, they're consistent with the amount of panels and the amount of kilowatt that we permitted?
Well, that's an interesting question. I had that discussion with Evan earlier today, and there's a little, still confusion on my end. I'm not sure how to answer you. And that's part of our decommissioning discussion I had with him. We had a consultant, you might recall, that
Right.
that came in and came up with the dollar amount for the decommissioning estimate. Evan is requesting, and this is the second part of his request, a reduction, well, not so much a reduction, he's only providing 8 megawatts or 8.2 or somewhere thereabouts, as opposed to the 11 megawatts, which this was permitted at. So the way I look at this is from a physical
Same area.
disassembly, materials, quantity of materials, unit cost basis for disposal, dismantling and disposal. The footprint stays the same, whether it's 11 megawatts or 8
Right.
megawatts.
Right.
So from my perspective, the surety should be as originally calculated. And this goes to your point about the other panels. So, well, let me finish. So Evan believes that we should prorate the surety value that was calculated, by the 8 to 11, so whatever percentage that is.
Doesn't
Reduce
matter.
it by that amount.
It doesn't matter what the megawatts are, it's the area, the
Right,
disturbance.
that's already been negotiated.
So, I mean, I would ask Evan to give his perspective.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes, sir. So the first thing I want to, recall was you voted last week, or last meeting, to approve the decom proposal we provided. You had a vote on that. I thought we were getting towards that execution, not discussing it again. I thought it had been reviewed and everyone voted to approve it.
No,
Otherwise, what was that vote?
we can check the minutes, but my recollection of that was the board authorized Ernie to sign it outside of the meeting pending
Review.
validation of the dollar amount.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that just made me remembering it wrong. It's very easy to remember
Yeah.
what you thought or wanted to hear.
So,
So you're a little bit right, and that's my perspective, like you're halfway to the analysis that I'm at. So if we install less physical panels and equipment than 11.2 megawatts, and install 8.6, then there's less to disassemble, less panels to get rid of, less racks to remove, etc. So the amount should be lower. There are fixed costs that come with the acreage and the civil bill. Getting rid of the inverters, the same number. Getting rid of the battery boxes, same number. The roads, if you consider that, the civil installations, the telephone poles of the street, those are all fixed site costs. So what we did is we took those costs as CARE gave them to us for all the stuff that did not scale. We put that right in there as the assumed cost. And then we broke it down as a whole on the cost per megawatt and took the proportion of that as 8.6 out of 11.2.
Okay,
And that is the number we came.
Mr. Chairman, so through you to Evan, if the array is, I don't know what I'm not understanding, is smaller to some degree, the amount
Smaller
of,
on a megawatt or footprint?
okay, so let's just say they're both small. Why are you asking for 5, this has already been done. I mean, this is, if, I don't understand what's predicating the desire to move this, it's already been approved. we already have a decommissioning, and we're back here. I mean, if you found a nuclear dump site underneath it, that's like a big question. But this is not, give us the reason you need a minor modification. I mean, why are we here? I mean, am I not understanding?
The site was not as large as we originally conceived. And when permitting, I missed that item, that it said a mandatory 10-foot setback from otherwise internal access road. It just shouldn't have been on the plan sets, and I missed it.
So the dollar amount.
When we get back towards 11.2, our construction guy said it would be very helpful, to get every kilowatt we can. So if we could get closer to the road, it would be a useful amendment to the plan set that exists now.
Yeah, so in other words, I mean, the way I look at this is, we're looking at a differential of about $200,000, which I'm sure they would rather have in their possession than our possession, which, so if the board's considering it, I'm certainly willing to ask Pear to give us a price to update
Right.
the original estimate based on the new data.
I think we should
Yeah,
go back to,
Numbers from them.
yeah, we need the numbers from them.
We'd be fine with that.
Yeah,
Trying to take theirs and, make it into, that's what we have.
yeah.
So
I'm
if
used to that.
Yeah.
if it moves the needle a little bit, I don't think it'll be terribly awful to look at.
So yeah, I mean, through the chair, I think the decommissioning bond should be in line with what they build. And I think that's just a delta. So you're talking about the difference of, you get an approved for an 11 megawatt site and you might only put in an 8.5 or 8, then there's a delta there. So the bond would be reduced to the physical size of what the
I
building.
don't think anyone objects.
Yep, that's all.
We just want to make sure
Yeah.
we're not
I think you just have,
undervaluing it.
correct. I think you just go back to para to calculate there. And I think that has to be, and then,
So with the board's agreement,
Mm-hmm.
I'm authorized to, as long as ASD agrees with PAR's proposal,
Yeah.
authorized to give them a go-ahead to move forward with this, hopefully before the next meeting. No promises.
This is on the decommissioning.
This is on the decommissioning.
Yeah.
I still don't understand the reason for wanting to move the road. It's already been approved and done. and-
they're not moving the road.
They're not moving the road.
No, I mean, moving
Sideline?
panels and such like that. Why?
He's just moving his,
Smaller, what do you need to?
it's just I mean, I understand what he's trying to do. It's a setback with, here's the road and here's the field. Getting that additional space actually helps
But it got-
the applicant
but it
and
gets closer, what Mike's saying is they're asking for 7 feet, which gets closer to the road.
It doesn't, he's still,
Not the public road, to
he's
their
over 100 feet
access
away.
road, just their access
Yeah,
road.
he's
They're
over
not,
100.
they're not infringing on the buffer zone
Right.
at all.
He's a-
They're still
he's a 100
maintaining the buffer, they're just shifting the panels inside that area.
it's nothing.
Then if it's nothing,
It's
it's not.
process, Aaron, I mean,
Yeah.
he's requesting that the board give their blessing
Yeah.
on what he's interpreting as a minor
Yep.
modification.
Sure, I mean, it is minor.
Yeah.
Now,
So-
let me ask you one thing, though. If he says, let's say we do a decommissioning on 8.2, but when it's all said, done, built, finished, and the whole 9 yards, it's 9.5. Is there an adjustment made? Is there a safety net in
Yeah.
there where it can
We
be
can
adjusted?
revisit the value every 5 years,
Yeah.
the way the agreement is structured.
Right.
Okay, I'm just saying, but you know what I mean? They're kind of
Yeah,
estimating.
contingency.
Nobody really knows until they turn on the switch.
Yeah, we have a contingency in the.
Okay, as long as there's a safety net in there.
Fight
Yep.
over like a 100 kilowatt difference, like in the bond amount, like they came back slightly smaller. The 8.6 reflects what we hope to build with that minor modification.
Okay.
Okay.
The biggest thing about that decom bond is that every 5 years, this is item 5 at the back end of it, that's the most important thing for decom bond, is that the town can call every 5 years, at the cost of the owner of the array, a new estimate. And if, ultimately, whatever the right amount is set by the planning board in that language.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
if in 5 years we have a different number, like the owner will have to agree to that, or you
Right.
won't have a use permit.
Correct.
Correct.
Fair enough.
All right.
Out of all these little ones, like, that's the one thing that's the absolute most important.
That's
And
fine.
it's the cash deposit video in any case, but.
No, I mean, I just want it on the record, so everybody knows what's, if it's changed or whatever, that the public out there knows that there is protection for the town further on down the
Yep.
road, or if anything
Yeah, we
does
got
come
that
up.
in there, Mike.
Fair enough.
So
Yeah, I mean,
All right.
minor change, I have no problem with voting a minor change,
Yep.
and if you want to go for the 7, I mean, I'm flexible on,
Yep. And then you,
I don't want it on the road, I want at least, I like to see at least 3 feet
yeah,
there,
yeah,
you know?
3 feet. And I'm
Hey,
okay
Bill.
with the decommissioning bond.
We need a motion? or-
Yeah, we're going to
To
need.
review with
We got
Para.
all our ducks in a row, okay.
I'd like a vote on both of those,
Yeah.
actually.
Yep,
That,
separate.
You know, you view this, and it's insignificant change, permit,
Yep.
and down to 3 feet from the interior access road. That's number one. Number two, that I'm authorized to issue a notice to proceed to Par Corp, as assuming ASD agrees with the value for the surety
Yeah,
estimate.
yeah. Okay, Evan, you good with that?
Yes, sir, so the minor modification, thank you, assuming the vote happens, thank you. And so the decomp is that it's all agreed to except we need to confirm a new scale of value with Par. And otherwise, we can execute.
We're gonna get a
the
pro-
document.
we're gonna get a- yes.
Corrected number.
Correct. And then Ernie, we already authorized Ernie to sign it outside of the meeting pending council and PAR's review.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we want to make a motion?
So I'll do the first one.
Go ahead.
So I'll make a motion to reduce the
Revisit it.
access road setback from 10 feet to 3 feet for ASD Wallem Solar as a minor change.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion made by Les, seconded by Mike Z. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, all.
Les Stevens, aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
Mike Zwicker, aye.
I'm going to just be neutral on this.
What are you doing?
I'm going to be neutral on it.
So you're abstaining from voting?
Abstaining. from
Okay,
voting.
Aaron
Yeah.
abstains?
Yes.
Jake Schultzberg, aye.
All right, Ernie, aye.
Thank you.
All right, motion carries.
Okay.
Now, we'll need a motion on,
Authorizing
Yep.
me to proceed, issue PAR a notice to proceed
yep,
as assuming ASD agrees with the scope and value of the work.
yep.
I'll call it so moved.
Okay,
Second.
so moved by Mike Z.
Second on that.
Second by who?
Aaron?
Aaron.
You second, Alan?
Yeah,
Okay,
Aaron, yeah.
seconded by Aaron. Roll call vote?
Les Stevens, aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
Mike Zwicker, aye.
Aaron Sokrat, aye.
Jake Schultzberg, aye.
Ernie, Mark's aye. All right, you're all set, Evan. Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Bill will be in touch, and we'll get you the funds for that, whatever Pear says they need to relook at it. Should be pretty quick money.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
No
You
problem.
too.
Have a good one, Evan.
All right, we're past the 7:15,
Here we go.
so we'll come on to our agenda. Public hearing continued, Cooperstown Road Realty Trust, application for definitive subdivision residential compound, Hawk Hill Farm, 768 and 772 Northwest Main Street. Possible vote, but we have a continuation request. On behalf of the applicant, Cooperstown Road Realty Trust, please accept this letter as a formal request to continue the public hearing for the above referenced project to October 15th Planning Board meeting.
Mr. Chair, I know Mr. Menard's here for this matter, so I don't know if he wants to speak. He's up here.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Menard, we've opened the hearing, and there's been a request for a continuation. I didn't know if you wanted to say anything.
No, nothing to add at this point.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Condit.
So,
Sure thing.
Okay.
October 15th at 7:30?
October 15th at 7:30.
Okay, motion to
Yep. I'll
continue.
make a motion to continue the Cooperstown Realty Trust to October 15th at 7:30.
Second?
Motion made by Les, seconded by Mike Z. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Les Stevens, aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
Mike Zwicker, aye.
Aaron Sokrat, aye.
Jake Schultzberg, aye.
Ernie Mac's aye. Okay. All right. All right, 7:15. Public hearing, proposed zoning bylaw change, Economic Development Commission, car wash and Gilbo rezone.
Yeah, that's a public meeting, Mr. Chairman.
Public meeting, yes. Did I say public hearing?
Yeah.
I meant public meeting, sorry.
Yeah.
Let the record show public meeting, not public hearing. Okay, Bob, you want to come up?
Spare chair. Name and address for the record.
Bob and Eric, 107, do I get a mic? Bob and Eric, 107 Cedar Street. More importantly, EDC.
Is it on? Yeah, okay.
We're talking about.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Cundiff. You guys ready?
Yep, go ahead.
Roll.
Two proposals tonight. One is a zoning bylaw amendment in addition to Appendix A, Schedule of the Use Regulations for car wash. Right now, we're up to number 24, so this would be number 25. At our last EDC meeting, we decided to have planning board special permitting in two zones, village business and commercial, and by right in industrial. And that's basically at your recommendations from the last meeting we had at the planning board. My only question is, do you want to add a definition of car wash in section 10.0 definitions? Some towns have it, some towns don't. I like the one that was in Sturbridge. If you want me to read it, you can consider it.
Is that what's written down here?
Is this the one that's here?
Yeah, I believe it is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's a good definition.
Yep.
Bill, any comments on this?
No, I mean, I think it's a reasonable request. I know
Yep.
Bob's had some interest, while the EDC has had some interest
Yep.
in having a car wash person come into town.
Yep.
And it doesn't really fit into our zoning, so this is trying to fix that.
Yep.
Does this allow the open bay pressure wash hoses where you can just drive in and do it yourself?
It could, I mean, it fits that definition. It's
Okay.
a
You know
structure.
what I'm saying?
It's a
I
structure.
think it's on
Yeah.
Route 12, they have the automatic car wash.
The one in Worcester's
But
too.
yet they have-
Right, where you can drive through and then you can pull into a bay and then spray your own vehicle. You can do it
Yeah.
yourself.
I think Northbridge has one
This
too.
would be a structure containing facilities for washing
Automatic
vehicles.
Or semi-automatic, yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Would it also cover the drying units that they have at Scrub-A-Dub, where you go outside, you put the quarters in?
It says heating here.
Huh?
It says heating and drying.
Last one is and/or heating.
But it talks, can it say a structure or land, or, the property, because these things may not be in a structure, some of these things. Is that something we'd be concerned about? It says a structure containing blah, blah, all these other things.
Yeah.
What about if it's not in a structure, just be on the property, approved by the plan?
A structure or independent facility?
Oh, instead of a structure, a property containing facilities.
Yeah,
or-
a structure and/or property containing facilities, and facilities can be
Yeah.
just a dryer machine, separate, it can
Yeah.
be just facilities, things,
Like an air pump.
equipment, yeah, air pumps, often they have,
The vacuums.
Vacuums.
yeah. I mean, it's very minor, but I think it's important to get it in there.
I think, yeah, I see what you mean, but my concern is if you're going to take up a footprint in a commercial or industrial space, you want some type of structure that you get more tax revenue out of.
He's making sure that it also pertains that you can also have
Okay.
Outside of the
outside
building, on
racks
site.
and the outside stuff that's not in a building.
Yeah, I mean,
All right.
we can
You
just
know what
add a
I'm
couple of words and
All right.
just,
Create
and
flexibility.
equipment on site for,
Yeah, you're talking vacuuming, air
Sometimes
pressure.
people, they can put a
Everybody
quarter
drives up to them outside, they wash their car, they drive over.
Right.
and they have
Okay.
The backs lined up.
Oh, yeah,
They
yeah.
also
The vacuum.
have-
Okay,
That's what
oh,
we're
okay.
talking
They also have
Yeah.
air pumps to pump the tires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How
How about we put on the end, including but not necessarily limited to facilities for vacuuming, cleaning,
Yes.
air pressure?
Yeah.
Outside the
perfect.
structure,
So-
as per approved.
Right, including facilities for those units, not a structure.
Correct, I mean,
Yeah,
that's fine.
yeah, that works.
Let me write this down.
Or
You came up with the wording.
equipment's better, equipment outside.
Not specified, just equipment.
We know what we mean, but we should put it down
I
there.
mean,
I haven't-
that equipment also, i.e. vacuum cleaners and,
And then I know Northbridge has got one, and they probably don't even have a definition on what a car wash is.
no, but it's,
Just funny, but
Did we ever find a spot for gas station?
yes, there is.
Yeah, commercial 7.
Nice.
Does this have to go to town meeting, Bill?
Yes, it
Yes.
has to go to town meeting after we have a public hearing.
We have to have a public
Right now,
hearing,
we're just
yeah.
getting what we want to advertise for a
Right.
public hearing
Yeah,
if the board
okay.
wants to proceed.
So you're trying to get this for the next town meeting, Bob?
Yes, for the November.
I did submit it to the selectmen.
That's-
in draft form.
Okay.
That's its own.
Yeah, not there yet.
Yeah,
Cool.
That's next.
yeah. So,
So how if I add, including to the definition, heat for drying, comma, including equipment for drying, vacuuming, air pressure,
That may be outside of the structure. We have to, like, break it from the structure.
including a separate facility for.
No, there's no facility, just equipment that may be outside the structure. So you've got a building, and these things are on the side of
Right,
the
that's the
parking lot.
structure. Structure is a building.
Right.
yeah, I would leave the structure alone, and then
Facility is also a building.
as soon as you end with
Is
the word
facility
drying,
a building?
yes, it
I
is.
Consider it, yep.
A facility is a building.
But including, you had it, but just outside of the structure on, as approved by the board or
Yep.
whatever.
I think you had it. To include,
And subject to the setbacks. I mean, it's all of that has to be subject to setbacks.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Separate from the structure.
Yes.
yep,
It has to be.
yep,
Because if we don't have it, somebody could say, well, geez, it's a structure, and they gotta put it inside, and they've got to build
Yeah.
a building, and it doesn't have to be that way.
yep. It's okay.
What else do we want besides drying, vacuuming, and air pressure?
it.
We don't want to limit ourselves to those 3 items.
I wouldn't say that, I would just use the word equipment,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you could do
equipment.
parentheses, i.e.
yeah,
Such as, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's just a
You
definition.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You just say the word equipment.
Equipment.
Covers it all, and
Right.
just do an i.e. after it.
Correct.
As an example.
Correct.
And that, leave it blank, that leaves everything open.
Yep.
So that,
Yeah.
so it could be reviewed by the planning board when it comes in front of us.
Yep.
You're not tying anybody's hands by doing it that way.
So,
Just say equipment.
so what I wrote,
You're suggesting the facilities for washing should be changed to equipment for washing?
No.
No,
No, it's outside.
No, just adding it.
on it.
just adding this sentence, correct me if I'm wrong,
Yep.
including equipment, parentheses, for example, drying, vacuuming, air pressure,
Yes.
close parentheses, separate from the structure.
Yes. Perfect. That's
Done.
Perfect.
or
You
outside.
like that?
Yep.
that's simple.
Well, separate from the structure would be
Simple and
outside.
it's laid out. It's pretty explanatory, but
Yep.
it doesn't tie your hands.
Yep.
Leave it open.
Because the scrubber dubbers like would want that. I mean, they're gonna have that. So
Good point.
even little fan-shaped roofs over those areas.
And what if they put a roof over the air pump?
But that's a building inspector thing.
Good.
Let's keep this simple.
Yeah.
As long as it's less than 200 square feet.
That's it.
I'm good with
Okay, all set on that one? All right,
So-
wanna go on to the rezone one?
Do you want to make a motion on that one?
Well, I don't think we should do that until we go for the public hearing.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
by consensus, if the board agrees with the revised language, I'll proceed with advertising it.
Yes.
We'll have the hearing and then get it going.
Yeah, that's when we'll vote on it.
Are we shooting for the October 15th for the public hearing?
November.
No, that's the
Oh, the
warrant hearing.
Yeah, I don't know if we can meet that. I'd have to look at the timeline, Les.
Okay.
Okay, Bob, floor is yours.
The second one is the rezone of Gilboa Street. Per your recommendations from the last planning board meeting, the EDC decided to basically change all the white to gray, RA to industrial, on lots 13844, 13845, 13845.1.
Looks good.
I had one more lot than you did, Bob. If you look at the map that Jake has here, the parcel that we're putting up to auction, it doesn't appear to go to the to the center of the stream. The stream actually encroaches onto that property. I'm sorry, this piece here.
Up there? Yeah, okay.
So basically, the thread of the stream is the property line. So in the event that that was zoned RA, I included it.
Okay. That's a good idea.
Right, because those will be auctioned off soon.
Yep. A little sliver. Good.
And the two properties, Buckham and the town of Douglas, on the corner near the North
Yeah.
Street Bridge, will stay RA.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. We're just extending our industrial line,
Yes.
that's all.
Board?
It's a little unusual that that little tiny piece is RA.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was amazing that all of it was RA, you
You know?
know what I mean? That all of
What
it.
about this bottom down here? This is the sewer treatment plant, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's included. If you look at Jake's, I emailed
Yeah.
this to you earlier,
Okay,
and I should have a copy of
Okay.
my packet. I don't know if you want to thumb through there.
so that would be another lot number.
Yeah, you'll have to add that.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's the
I'll
property
double check the
line.
lot numbers
Yeah.
and addresses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all,
Yep,
I'd rather have too many than too few.
yeah,
correct. Yep,
Make sure
fair enough.
it's all there.
And I'll help Bill on that.
I'm good with that.
Okay. All right,
Okay.
Boyd,
Yep, that sounds
feel
good.
okay about that?
Yeah,
Good
do
with
it.
that? Yep.
All right, we'll schedule public hearings and move forward on it then.
Rolling on that.
Yep.
Okay,
Looks good.
we'll shoot for 15th if we can make it.
Yeah, see where we
Give
can
it our
land it.
best shot.
Am I done?
Yeah,
That's it.
you're done.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, coming in, thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Bob.
That was painless.
You will. It's the way I like them.
The town meeting was good too.
Yes, it did.
Yeah. I went to Iowa.
Not one dissenting vote on both the articles.
Yeah,
The hearings and go that way with
the Q&A was,
It's the same.
the Q&A was very minimal, which is good.
Yep.
Just means the public was really informed of like what we're doing, so,
That was awesome.
yeah. Thank you,
I thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
You see, Phil, you're not taking any of my stuff.
No, I looked. Is that what yours?
Yeah, okay.
So I'll stop in tomorrow, just make sure I get them away.
Yep.
We covered that, didn't we? All right.
Okay,
We have the originals and then the proposed.
next item on the agenda. Public meeting, 93 Davis Realty Trust, 93 Davis Street. Possible votes.
Yep.
All right. Jay, do you want to come up to the table with us, or?
You have a chair right there, Jay? Yeah.
Yeah. We'll let the record show that town council is joining us.
Oh, good to see you too. Nice to see you all.
Bill.
Sorry to steal you away from the Celtics game.
We'll catch it. You can put it right up on the.
I could probably do that.
Probably good.
All right, Bill, you want to bring us up to date here?
Yeah, so in your packet, you have a clipped packet of correspondence, and that's all occurred since the decision was issued. Here, Jay, you can have mine. Can you pass that down to Jay? And basically, the context was, it started off with a request for constructive approval with the town clerk. Town council corresponded back and forth a few times with their attorney on whether or not it qualified for constructive approval. That eventually evolved into a request for some corrective revisions to the decision. So in your packet is, like I say, the communication back and forth, and the last communication we received was today.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, we saw that. Look at
That's
our
what you want.
I'm hoping it's in order.
Yeah, it
Can't
is.
promise that.
That what? That is,
In order?
yeah, well, we have the emails. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That was good on opening that. Should we just take them one at a time? or What's the problem?
Yeah, we'll take them one at a time. All right. Now, let's go over these. All right, Bill, you want to do these one at a time?
Sure.
I think it's the last page, Ernie.
Yeah.
Just clerical.
Yeah, clerical errors on the.
So here we go.
Yep.
Okay, so number 45 is the first item,
Yep.
and you can see up here in red
Okay.
what the edit is.
Yeah.
Excellent. So from the original to what's being revised,
So that's being added,
This is a red line view of what is proposed. for
that's
the edit.
easier. That's the
Okay.
difference.
okay. I'm trying to flip back.
Nothing's changed, right?
Nothing,
Changed on 45, it changed from.
No, from your, from this document
oh,
to the one today.
No, no,
Right.
sorry.
Right.
nobody's been recognized, so.
Yep. So to the chair, I think the only change that Bill's highlighting is that it's changed from planning agent / town engineer to planning board.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sounds,
All right.
just while we're covering that.
Well, let me,
It's this one, Ernie. It's the best one.
we have the granting authority, so.
Ernie.
yeah, well, let me, all right, I have a comment on this. Normally, the proceeding is that this would come into Bill, Bill would review it.
Typically.
Come to our next meeting, his comments, us reviewing it, and a decision is made on it.
Well, the goal of the way it's worded currently in the approved decision would actually be to the applicant's benefit.
That's what I'm trying to understand.
The timing becomes the issue. So if the board's meeting once a month, for example,
Yep,
they would have to wait till the next board meeting to get an answer.
right.
Whereas I could act sooner than that. Often, and we've always used this language, always.
Yep,
The advantage to the applicant is they get a faster turnaround time or answer.
you review it.
If there's a disagreement, we've always taken the position that we'll both go to the board, make our case to the board, and the board will make the determination. So in other words, that's the same timeline as what they're suggesting as the edit, as a worst-case scenario.
Yep,
So,
all right.
We, other than timeline, that could be beneficial to the applicant.
No,
we wouldn't-
I disagree.
We wouldn't
but-
really care, do we? I mean, if,
No, the way I look at it is, it's better for the applicant if Bill gets it, reviews it, comes to our next meeting with it. If it comes in this way, it's coming to the board. We'll look at it certainly, but it's going to go back to Bill for his comments. So they're going to have to wait another 2 weeks to come back into the
of
next
course,
meeting.
I will make comments whether or not the board's,
Because it's going to come before
whether
us.
it goes to the board or not.
Yeah,
Right,
it's gotta
and
come
that's the way we've always done it. And
but where did this, may I ask, Mr. Chairman, where did this change come from? It's not from us, the applicant has asked for this change, so what do we
right, and
care? If they want to, it may take longer, but what do we care?
I don't like any applicant, whether it's for site plan review, subdivision, gravel removal, dictating to us when Bill is going to review something and when he isn't. That's our decision to make. And we always, and we're not going to exclude our engineer from
No, it
making
doesn't-
comments about anything that comes before this board. We're not going to do business with the applicant picks what Bill reviews and what Bill doesn't review.
But we still are engineer, he's still going to review it for us.
Correct.
He is, that's right.
Yeah, no.
That's right. So it's going to come to us, we're going to look at it at that meeting, then it's going to go to Bill, and we're going to come back in 2 weeks for another meeting, because I'm going to wait for Bill's review, and I'm going to wait for Bill's comments before I act on it. We're not excluding our town engineer or our town planner agent to not review it.
Mr. Chairman, I only offer my comment as constructive. I mean, certainly if they want to substitute, I certainly don't object to that. But I don't think it's to their advantage to do it this way.
Right.
Yeah.
And, the question always lies out there, is this a clerical error or not?
Right.
This is the language we use in all our decisions.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
Hey, I would like your opinion on this.
Well, it's not clerical, it's administrative. So when you look at any of these changes, you have to think, it's not what you want or what the applicant wants or what the applicant may be concerned about in terms of the change or what you may be concerned. You have to think the third party that would normally be entitled to notice of a meeting, the abutters, anyone else who may take an interest in a project like this, and it's a significant project. Is this the kind of change that they might be concerned about, where you'd be making it outside of the, kind of what you voted on? This one's kind of on the edge in my opinion. It's certainly not clerical, but it is kind of administrative. I don't get the point of it, because even if Bill reviews it before your meeting, because he's just in the office and it comes in, it doesn't change anything.
Right.
But it does, in addition
To the timeline.
to increasing their timeline. If I were them, I'd be concerned that someone from the public may come out of the woodwork and say, well, wait a second, where'd this decision come from?
Yeah, right.
But that's up to them. I don't have a huge quarrel. I mean, there are some municipal land use attorneys will say any change that's just not a misspelling or something like that, you should go back to the drawing board. I'm not going to spend a lot of time worrying about that with something like this, but the risk is with them, not with you all. But it's certainly not clerical, but it's also not so objectionable that you couldn't handle it in this process. I don't think it changes one thing, and I agree with you that it's going to only elongate their approval process, but that's their choice, yeah.
But you know what's interesting? It gives the approval of this completely to the town engineer, which,
But we still fall under this whole thing.
right, but it still says review and approval of the planning town engineer. So maybe the applicant is thinking, we have a board who approved us before, it should really be the board with the advocacy of our engineer, not just putting it all in his pocket, which is fair. I know.
We're not.
No, but it says that.
Yeah.
It says approved by the planning agent,
Well,
the
that's,
town engineer.
Right.
Maybe they don't want the town engineer to only,
So
in
just
any
through-
town, to be the one to approve something. Maybe they want the board to.
So just through the chair, I mean, I think what concerning here is to Bill's point, is if there's a discrepancy or an item to be discussed, such as 9 feet versus 10 feet, it could be resolved with a discussion with Bill, say, hey, we'll do a modification on the as-built and go from there. Versus what this may entitle is, you're going to go back before the planning board with a public hearing, and then you're going to discuss 9 feet versus 10 feet in a public forum versus, something that in the field, when you look at something, it says, oh, well, on the plan, we estimated it would be 10 feet and we're only going to do 9 feet. And sometimes you go out there and take a look at it and make the judgment call and say, yeah, okay, we'd be okay with 9 feet if you put it in the as-built. This could trigger the fact of when you're talking about, parking and some areas here and access, it can trigger a situation where we go before another hearing versus the stuff, you deal with in the field is going to be deltas between things, and it's at your discretion, and you would advise the board, coming before us, if there's a disagreement and saying, oh, I'm not sure if it's too big of a gap type of thing.
So as a practical matter, with this particular issue, it pertains to parking and whether or not they're providing, some way, shape, or form for overflow parking if their current plan does not, prove fruitful. So theoretically, if there were an issue with overflow parking, that would be something that you want to respond to fairly quickly. And you would think that, and if I got a request in, as the decision states, I would likely get it, I would run it by town council, with town council's okay for form, I would then communicate with them any issues.
Yep.
If there were none, they would be able to proceed. If there were issues still, and they were not willing to modify the language, I would then bring it to the board. And that's been our MO for the last 20 years.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
I see no reason to change that.
So, again, I guess it's more administrative to what Jay highlighted is just going to be bringing it before the board if there's any change.
Well, does-
You know what I
one more
mean?
question.
That's all. It's nothing.
Mr. Chair, could we, it'd be, Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead,
So being
Aaron.
that the applicant is here, and with the benefit of this discussion with the board, has their opinion about this wording changed? So that maybe we can head this off and
Mm-hmm.
be on this one.
No, I'm going to discuss this amongst the board first before we take any
No,
questions
no,
from the
no, but I'm
audience.
saying that there is benefit to our, lofty discussion with our council here. And
Yeah.
So maybe with all of this discussion, and this is, I have the benefit of listening to this too, so maybe the opinion of the applicant has also changed as well. So that's all,
Yeah, well, we'll,
in regards to this.
Okay.
right. So, Jay, you feel it isn't,
It's not something that will keep me up at night.
Yeah.
If you decide, so you have options. You could either accept the change, and they're at their own peril. It's all going to have to get filed with the town clerk. It's going to trigger a new appeal period.
yeah,
You could say no, or you could say, I'm going to tip it into a public hearing. Those are your options. You don't have to accept any of these.
Yep,
You can
I agree.
accept all of them, and we'll go through them one at a time,
Yeah.
or you could tip them all into a public hearing.
all right. We should discuss all of them before we decide to vote on them, or should we
Yeah.
vote on them one at a time?
That's up to you. That's,
One at a time.
whatever you want to do.
Let's work on this.
I think the key wording here is approval, right? Review and approval. Bill always looks for our authorization on things. So, like we just did with Evan regarding the modification from 10 feet to 3 feet,
Yep.
as a minor.
Yep.
I mean, if there was something like that, it would come before our board for approval. I mean, and I don't think Bill would want the liability of saying, yeah, Evan, we're okay with going to 3 feet. It would come before the board. So the way it's written here, the last sentence is, the alteration of the overflow parking shall be reasonable review and approval of the planning board. It's going to come here anyways.
I'm just stating that
He's going to review
do
it.
it
Bill's
this
still going to
way.
review.
You do it this way, it's going to lengthen the process for us and
But,
for the applicant.
yeah, but if there's an alteration in the plan, it comes here anyways. Bill would review it before it comes here, just like he just did with Evan with the solar. I mean, so I don't think there's a big discrepancy here between what's being written. Because, you know what I mean, the approval is the thing. The word approval is,
I don't have a quarrel either with,
Yeah.
with the change.
You're good with
I
it.
don't think it's to their advantage.
okay,
That's-
agree. So you're okay with the change if it goes in this direction?
I just think it's poor form to change, but for a specific project, our standard language.
Right.
Okay, so when we have standard language that we use on every other
Yeah.
permit, that becomes problematic if we're, now changing it just for this one.
No. Well,
And it makes it a little more burdensome for me, frankly, because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times, that same language goes from project to project to
Well-
project, and I just might assume it's the same. And
I think what's the sticking point is that the review would be done by you, but the approval would be done by the planning board, right? You would review what the change is. That's one piece, and then the second thing, the approval. That's where I'm hung up on, is the approval has to come from the board. It can't be from you as a, like the situation with Evan with the 10 feet. You couldn't just approve it because it's a modification.
So an application comes in for stormwater management for a subdivision, and they say, well, we want to come before the board for your vote. We don't want Bill looking.
No, he still has to review it.
He still has
Going
He still has to review it, Ernie.
I mean,
He still has to review it. There's no
I-
sidestep in that.
Well, comparing it to Evans, as you just did, you authorized me to prepare a scope with Pear.
Correct. For the decommissioning.
Right.
Yeah.
And if we were going under this lingo, I would have to bring it back to the next meeting and have you approve it and then proceed.
What-
And that's fine with me.
Yeah.
I don't have a
Yeah.
horse in the race.
No, I agree.
Why did Evans thing have to come here if the same language was for him, planning agent? So why even bring that decommissioning thing to us, or the
Yeah.
little change in where the
modification.
road is? I mean, it came to us. Why, if it's customary,
This
Mr.
is
Chairman.
a specific item. This has specifically to do with parking, and that's it. That was a plan change. You have to read the full paragraph.
Oh, yeah, we don't know. You're right, we don't know.
So the idea is we're taking it out of context in that avenue where you're looking at a point. This has to do with one specific item. That's the difference.
Okay.
So let's move forward.
Yeah, move forward.
Yep, all right, let's go to the next one, Bill.
What's in red?
All right, 47, and I apologize to Mike because Mike had caught this clerical error. 47 is simply clerical errors.
But what we received today adds to it, though.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, there's a new sentence that says, I agree that the change up there is clerical, but they've in what we received today, there's an added sentence that says, in the case of inclement or unsuitable weather, a surety bond shall be submitted to the planning board for approval in the amount equal to loam and seed.
That's completely different.
It's on this grade copy section. It's line 7. You know what I mean? I think if you're trying to open up in February, it's hard to loom and seed.
Flip this.
Like, you can loom and seed, but nothing's going to grow if you got snow on the ground.
Got me too.
I mean, I'm just looking at what's written here differently. What have we done? I don't know if we've ever done anything similar where a business is trying to open up in the winter and
That's been our condition, loamed and seeded.
loom and seeded. Correct.
Part of the conditions.
That's the condition that we've always used.
Okay. So there's nothing related to weather and because
But certainly the board has some latitude, I would say, absent the language.
We're starting to, I'm sorry, through the chair, we're picking hairs here. If it's snowing out, there's 5 feet of snow in February, they're gonna come in and say, hey, we can't put loom and seed there.
Correct.
We're gonna
Yeah.
go, yeah, we kinda understand that,
Yeah.
we're gonna say, go ahead, move forward.
Yeah. We've done that. No.
Leave it in there as a blanket deal.
Yeah.
If the weather or something comes up and there's a hurricane, you can't do nothing for 3 months, we're gonna know that.
Right,
Yeah.
So just leave it the way it is.
Yeah.
And then
right,
adjust as time moves forward.
I agree.
Yeah. And we've done that with other applicants, working with
Are
them.
we on moving here? Is that what it is? It's just protocol? It's that we're on moving? Is this the way this is going?
We're going over them right now.
We're just reviewing each one.
Okay, let's do it.
And highlighting them in.
Separately, Aaron, then we'll
all.
decide.
Yep.
Okay, Jay, any comment on this one?
You know, again, this is a substantive change technically.
Yeah.
They are adding something that would grant them relief. Knowing this board and knowing how you move forward and knowing the zoning board does the same thing with their 40Bs, people come in and say, I can't, you know, 100% correct. They come and say, I can't comply.
Right.
Can I get a little relief from this? And that's what you normally do. I have no objection to the language. There's some common sense. I think it's not as easily done as they might suggest because negotiation, I would never accept just a surety bond. I would want to have a side agreement like we do whenever you guys are doing things. So it's, again, a little bit of a time suck.
Right.
I think they'd be better off going the normal course and say, look, you need temporary relief, we're not going to enforce this against you, sure, go ahead. And
Right.
well authorize Mark to
Right.
issue occupancy
Yeah.
or
Right.
whatever.
If for a reason they can't do it,
No, not stated. All right, let's go
for a
forward.
reason you can't get the limited seating done, you come let us know, and we can decide it then, but.
Yeah, we can go forward.
They don't have, who knows if it'll ever get
No,
done.
we can go forward.
Okay. 48,
48, what's changed on that one?
So 48 has to do with the signage
Yep.
on the building. As you might recall, during the meeting, I had asked for the contents of the sign.
Yeah.
we do that with,
They didn't do that. We've done it in the past for any projects we've gotten, for example, the Dunkin' Donuts project,
Right.
where they've actually shown the sign. So the issue is the content of the sign, and that's it. That's all.
We will approve the sign, that's the way we always.
Shall review and
I
approve?
want to see what the signs are.
Yeah, shall review and approve. So what they're changing is that we shall review according to the, so it still has the review of the planning board and the approval.
Okay, Jay?
This one kind of fits in the same category of some of the other ones, that you're still going to review it doesn't say, and the board shall not review the contents of the sign.
Yeah.
That would be different. this doesn't change the fact that you're going to review the contents of the sign. I don't see a difference either way.
Yeah.
I don't have a real quarrel with taking away the language, because to me, it means nothing to take away the language, like nothing at all. Especially with a use like this, where signage is an issue to be reviewed under law. And
Oh, yeah.
so-
You can't have,
Right.
you can't have something that is unacceptable.
Right.
And,
Right.
and let's just go
The
forward
sign
from there.
has to be approved, you're saying,
Yeah.
regardless whether it's
So-
contents.
You're still going to look at the contents of it,
Contents
as
of the
well as
sign.
the size, the shape.
Well, yeah, and what the graphic is, an aspect of it,
Right.
so, fair enough. All right, we're okay with
Bill, any further comment?
48?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay,
So 49 has to do with a traffic study. At our last meeting, we discussed having a traffic study because they were pushing to close. And this came largely from, I actually forgot to include this, largely came from Leonard, added the language on this. I did add that part about the Massachusetts Registered Professional Engineer, and I did that because of a comment that was made by one of the board members at the last meeting,
Okay.
saying engineered study.
Okay. All right, Jay?
This one is probably the most substantive of them. I think a traffic management plan not prepared by someone who's a traffic analyst, maybe it might not, I guess, have to be a PTO, a professional traffic operations engineer. Is that what it stands for?
Yeah.
But it's going to have to be someone professional. I think that's what the first sentence that they want to eliminate gets to. So I'm not sure what a plan would look like if it wasn't done by someone who was qualified for that. So that, to me, is somewhat substantive. The second sentence that they want to eliminate is certainly substantive, because you're creating there's a minimum requirement in addition to the other general requirements for a traffic plan. There's a minimum requirement that you're going to want to see these items in there. To remove that means that you don't necessarily want to see them in there. And whether that's a good idea or a bad idea, I'm not saying to include them, but you decided to include them. And because traffic does affect other people, if I'm one of those third persons who was relying upon the original decision and the original deliberation and everything, and all of a sudden I'm finding out that a traffic plan doesn't have to show warning signs, signboards, or other suitable traffic control devices, that may be enough to worry me. It may not. I mean, I know a little bit about permitting these facilities because I do it for other communities. Traffic is the number one issue. It's odor a little bit for grow facilities and things like that, but
Right.
it's a traffic issue.
well,
So this one I have the most concern with. Again, not the hugest deal in the world, because I think if someone produces a traffic report that isn't done professionally and doesn't include common sense traffic stuff, the police chief, who's undoubtedly going to consult with people like Bill or this board, is going to say, no dice.
well, we have a safety
Well,
committee, too. I mean, in the
Yeah.
commissions,
But-
right? So,
So it may not change anything, but the elimination of that language certainly seems a little more substantive to me than some of the other ones. So there's something on that one.
I think the concern that even Bill brought up, that it was left out, Leonard brought it up, and he left out some pieces as well. So I think the problem was it can seem like net new, or
This was discussed at the last meeting.
at the last meeting, but was it discussed in the July meeting or August meeting?
Yeah.
Traffic came-
The
No,
first
tra-
meeting, it
traffic.
was raised, they did not provide anything. The second meeting,
asked
they
again.
requested a waiver, and we said we thought it was important.
Yeah.
And then the last meeting is when we talked about what they submitted, and that's how we ended up with this, trying to work with them to close the hearing
Yep.
so that they could do this outside of the hearing.
Because one of the things, going over the tape and stuff like that was we empowered the police chief to review the traffic plan.
No, we didn't empower anybody. The police chief came in that night with his
We asked-
plan of
we asked-
what he would do. But
We-
he's not an
It's in the
engineer and
minutes.
he's not a traffic expert. I fully confident that the police chief will handle any
Yeah,
situation
traffic.
that comes up down here. His
And it-
men are great guys, but
Correct.
it's still not a stamped, engineered traffic analysis plan.
So-
That's just the police chief's comment on how he was going to handle traffic with his details.
Correct. But we asked regarding any traffic, the traffic analysis is what we used, the wording, and you can watch the tape, is we referred it to the police chief in his, review of the overflow parking, the accessing the site, and was he okay with the traffic analysis? That's what was discussed.
I do recall specifically asking for a traffic analysis.
And we talked to, and yeah, brought before for the police chief to review.
Maybe
I mean,
we
it's
messed
routine.
up on our wording of what we requested, but we requested one certain thing, and that's what they brought to us, was
Correct.
an analysis.
Yeah.
So maybe we dropped the ball at the beginning when we should have said, requested a traffic study, but we requested a traffic analysis.
I mean, and
Just so we're clear, there's no distinction between an impact analysis and a traffic study. They're the same thing.
Right.
What people might be getting confused about is the fact that we were not looking for traffic count data. We could have used off-the-shelf data that was readily available from MassDOT or CMRPC. Those are the kinds of examples that I had used during the meetings.
Right.
This appears to be, and again, I wasn't part of the hearing or anything. This doesn't appear to have anything to do with analysis. It appears to be calling on them to develop a operations traffic plan to deal with what people are anticipating are going to be traffic impacts. So
yeah.
Right, but that's not what we asked for, I guess.
Yeah, and I think when we discussed that, I think it was more like, being reviewed and approved by the police chief.
First.
That's it.
Yeah.
We didn't go beyond that.
And
We
then
said
it
that
changed after.
you put together a plan, a traffic plan, and it's to be reviewed by the police chief and approved.
No, that's not the way it happened.
Well, that's what's recorded.
Not in my mind, anyway.
That's what's recorded in the minutes.
either way, so it says what it says.
Yep.
And it was done with input of the engineers and other folks on it, and it's written in the signed, filed decision. If you all want to go back and rethink it, and maybe even open up a hearing on this issue, and even have them bring in some traffic stuff, that's up to you.
This wording, we didn't approve that the last year.
I'm not, that's not what I'm talking about here. All I'm talking about is to change it. If this board is dissatisfied with something, it's not atypical for the board to talk about a whole bunch of things and a staff member to distill it to writing and the chairperson to execute it. There's nothing wrong or improper with that. Might the wording be a little different from time to time than what people exactly heard verbatim? Well, sure, but that's not the issue before you. The issue before you is you have a signed, written, filed decision.
Right.
And they want to change it. And if they want to change it, and if you all want to change it and make it better or different or whatever, you're starting to veer in that area where the words on the page will differ substantially. And maybe better for the applicant, maybe worse for the applicant in terms of what you then demand in terms of getting comfortable with it. But
So you're highlighting the difference between a clerical error and a administration error, right? An administration change.
yeah, I mean, I
And
think
you're saying-
the discussion now is definitely veering into a change that would be substantive. This change itself has a substantive ring to it to me, but what you all are debating now definitely calls into question perhaps a substantive change, and I would be reluctant to bless that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Bill, anything further?
Number 50?
So the last one says a Massachusetts registered land surveyor shall stake out the site work and building and shall also prepare certified as-built plans, and they're striking stake out the site work and building and shall.
Right, I mean, you can't stake out the building after it's built. You definitely need a certified as-built. You stake it before it gets approved. I mean, this I know because I'm involved with this. How do you stake out a building after the fact?
What are you talking about? This is before an occupancy permit. stake out the building,
But the building's up.
but it's not up. Right now, it's not up. There's no building there right now.
But prior to the occupancy permit is, unless I'm completely like not on this world, is given by the building inspector for them to occupy the building.
It's towards the end of the project, right? Before they move in type of thing, right? And we think about a house, right, Bill? So you would stake out, you would do the initial stake out where the building's going to go.
Correct.
That's the initial.
By
Where the-
a PLS, right?
Yeah, there's the footprint, this is where it's going to go.
You do
Yep.
offsets prior
Yeah.
to.
By PLS, right?
Yes,
By PLS?
yeah.
Yeah, okay, go
Yep.
ahead.
And then from there, so that's where the building's going to go. You put the building in, you put the, actually you put the foundation in.
Yep.
And the smart thing to do as soon as you put the foundation is.
The corners.
It shoots the corners and get your as-built
Right.
and done.
Right.
You got an as-built, you know
Correct.
where the building is.
Correct.
Right.
I think what gets this one, Bill, is
Occupancy.
it's occupancy because you have to do those steps,
For a building permit.
part of the building permit, but you have to do those steps. You have to submit an as-built. You have to submit an as-built to get the occupancy permit.
Right.
So I think the wording was
You're
staking.
not staking it out. It's already there. The building's there. How do you stake out?
No,
the building?
No,
let's finish.
you're blending it. This is two steps. Staking out, as Les said, you stake out the corners of the foundation. And the concern is that they're very close to the wetlands,
Yeah.
very close to the setback line.
So
And the monumentation on the site was damaged, so the location of the
Yeah.
building is paramount.
yeah, I think.
Okay, so you stake out under the direction of a professional land surveyor.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Right? That's one.
Correct.
And then two is you do an as-built plan
Correct.
showing the location of the foundation.
Agree.
Saying
We-
anytime
yeah.
beforehand occupancy, way
Yeah.
back when they're doing foundations, it needs to be staked, and I agree with that.
Yeah, 100% Bill.
That's exactly what we're
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about.
I'm thinking, you're talking about occupancy permit, the
But if
building's
they
already
don't
up.
do it, they're not gonna.
No.
They don't hand in the.
Bill,
It's
Bill,
multiple steps.
yeah.
Get to that, those are foundations.
Bill-
One at a time, one at a time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Through-
Thanks for
It's not-
commenting.
I don't
Aaron.
disagree.
That's why I'm confused.
Silliness.
It is, I think, through the chair, I think the wording in here that was missing is when you say stake out the site work, and it should probably say prior to pouring the foundation, you know what I mean? That's all. I think this is, when you,
What they're asking for, that's what.
Correct.
It may be
We're looking
clunky
at-
wording,
It's just-
but the intent is that someone qualified
Yep.
stakes out the corners
Yep.
because we're so close to some critical things.
yeah. And so I think this is where it gets a little mixed when I read it, and as well as Aaron's interpretation is, when you talk about an as-built, that's always required before you get your occupancy permit.
Right.
And so I think it's just a procedural issue. That's all. It's very minor. Bill, I mean, I see where you're right, he's right, but it's the same, it's the same steps. You can't get to an occupancy
right.
permit. No, you can't get to an occupancy permit without having the foundation.
Even talk about occupancy permit. It is all applicable building codes, fire egress signs up, you
Yeah.
know, where the fire extinguisher is, this, the building inspector gives the approval, then it's an occupancy
Yeah.
permit, when it's done. 90%, 95% done or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's why it's clunky, yeah, it's clunky.
It's clunky,
The
but,
planning board, I was putting it in black and white so that everybody knows what's going on. We're all on the same page, is all it is.
Yeah,
It's not that difficult.
it's not
Yeah,
that difficult. Right.
It's in black and white, so that
Yep.
everybody reads it
Yep.
up front. You know it's there.
so,
Thank you, Mike. Okay, all right, let's- Right.
So this one, as I read this condition, and even though it's all one sentence and perhaps could be broken into two sentences or have some ones and twos in there, to me, it strikes me that the requirements are, you got a bunch of stuff to do before occupancy. One of those things is, you're going to stake this building out, and you're going to have a registered surveyor do it. And someone will probably review those stakes, right? And then when the building is done, you're going to have a registered surveyor, again, come out and resurvey, and then you're going to submit an as-built plan, and that as-built plan is going to check out. And then the mark will be authorized to issue an occupancy permit. To remove the stake out the site work, first of all, I'm not sure a responsible professional land surveyor's not going to do it anyway, because they're just going to be required to. But to remove that is almost an acknowledgement like, oh, we don't care if you
Wherever you-
So, and I know I know
Yeah.
the people that are working on the ground are still going to do it, but if the board feels it's important to put that in writing, then I would just leave it in there.
Yeah.
They're going to do it
Yeah,
anyway.
they're going to do it anyways. Yeah, I'm okay with the way it's written, because I think the procedural thing is Mark's going to look at when you dig the foundation footprint, he wants to see the soil, assess the soil, and at that point, he's going to look for the offsets.
Foundation is probably the most important.
Yeah, he's going to look at the offsets anyways to say,
But
okay,
someone along the way during the inspections too, they're going to want someone to say, hey, show me those stakes before you pour that foundation. I want to see those stakes.
it's Mark's first step in the process, especially with something
Right.
when you got to deal in a tight site.
Right.
All right, so we've discussed
Okay.
all these. What's
Yep.
the next step on?
The next step is to, if you want to, we can
One by one?
vote on them, I guess, but,
Chair. We're talking about voting on the edits.
The minors of these.
we're voting whether or not they stay the same, or we allow the edits. That's what we're voting on.
We're going to allow comment or
It's a public hearing,
comment from the chair?
it's a public meeting.
It's a public meeting, I don't
Yeah.
take any comments from anybody.
Okay, you said it in the beginning of the meeting, that's what I wondered.
I will take comments, yeah, or questions. If you have a question, I'll take a question or a comment, yeah, go ahead. Name and address, please.
Excuse me? Name.
Name and address, please.
John Wozniak, 159 Hartford Avenue East, Mendon, Massachusetts. Counsel to the applicant in this case. Two things. First of all, you're aware of the bylaw requirements of the town of Douglas, and I understand what you're saying about you've done it for 20 years, but you do understand, do you not, that based upon the way this is written, this would be determined, any applicant or any request or any determination by the planning agent or town engineer would be subject to the appeal period under the bylaws of the town of Douglas within a 20-day period. It wouldn't necessarily, by virtue of your own bylaws, be required to come back to the planning board. If that's in fact what you're doing, it should say that in the article. It doesn't. And so what it does is, and I'm just wondering if you're aware, because I understand you're saying what you've done for 20 years and whatnot, but what we're talking about here is, you know, the town engineer and gentlemen have been very succinct with respect to why you're doing certain things, and the bylaws of the town indicate that it will go to the, you have a certain process to follow through appeal from an authorizing authority, and the way you have this written, that would make that the town engineer. So I think you have some faulty issues here, which is the reason why we look for the change to bring it to the planning board. Well, it may take additional time, because if we're dissatisfied with the determinations of the town engineer, we're stuck having to either roll the dice and do the 20-day appeal period to the administrative law,
Okay.
division of the administrative law, or, you know,
That's
hope
your-
that you follow your prior precedent from 20 years of
Okay, that's your,
practice. But it's
that's
a
your
problem.
question? Is that your question?
That's my question, yeah.
Okay. Jay, can you respond to that?
Yeah, I don't think he has the process quite right. He raises an issue that, what is the process by which he could challenge? So one of the things that we did when Bill sent this to me is I added the word reasonable review in there. So it's kind of a marker in the ground that this is just, we're just checking boxes here and we're not redoing anything. But it is still conceivable that Bill could disagree with them on that element, in which case, what is their recourse? Because the law doesn't prescribe recourse. First of all, there's nothing wrong with that. Having a staff member or inspecting engineer or someone else review something instead of the planning board is certainly legal. The question becomes, if they disagree at that point, what is the ramification? I'm not sure ultimately that they have much of a case there, unless it was just completely off the rails decision by Bill or whatever other staff member or consulting engineer. If they did, my guess is they'd want to come to you and seek an overrule. They could probably go to court and seek an action in the nature of either mandamus or something else. There's no other procedural, certainly not the Division of Administrative Law Appeals, certainly not an appeal to the zoning board. So there are potential remedies for it, but there's no requirement that there be a remedy in it, because every single decision that this board and the zoning board and probably the Conservation Commission has issued has had some subsequent staff level or agent level review after the fact. In fact, almost every single permit I've worked on in the last 20 years has something like that. So there's nothing wrong with that per se. And and for something like this, which is mild, we're not talking about approving a massive system or something. We're talking about something pretty, just approving alternative parking, which essentially would be, do you have enough spots in that parking lot? So, and I'm not trying to make light of it, because parking's important, but.
Right,
Yeah. All right. Okay.
First of all, it's in your bylaws, the appeal process is in your bylaws, it's not a court appeal, it's not a 48 appeal, it's in your bylaws, so I'd suggest that you consider your bylaws, which will require anybody who's denied a request to the town engineer under the way this is written, reasonable or not reasonable, that word doesn't assist with respect to negate the appeal. Let me go on if I could. The question I had was, you went on and on about how it's better for the applicant to have the town engineer, because let's go to the town engineer, he'll give the approval. This is for parking. And you didn't really have a problem with the general public having input with respect to that. But then we got down to the other issue, which was 49. Where you indicated that there was a significant issue with respect to being able to get the public involved. And my question is, why in one case does the issue or condition not have any requirement for the public involvement, especially parking, and the abutters that are going to suffer the consequences of the parking? I would think that the town would have more of an interest with respect to its citizens requesting a planning board meeting in an open session, as opposed to letting your town engineer make that definitive determination on his own.
He doesn't make those determinations on his own.
According to this condition.
Okay, you have a question?
Okay. My other question is with respect to the prior to the issuance of an occupancy permit, because it seems to be a lot of the conditions. What I'm hearing is it seems to be a lot of good shake, handshakes. You got a problem, come back. It's common sense. Well, quite frankly, there's some issues in here that are common sense that don't seem to be carrying today. I'm just curious, why does common sense drive the issues on one particular point, but not on others? I mean, I agree, common sense should drive the day, but when you're talking and you bring in town council and the like, and you've got some issues, real substantive issues with regard to allowing the town engineer to keep in a supervisory capacity with respect to at least two of the conditions we're talking about tonight, I think that you make the applicant a little bit uneasy with respect to what the intent is here and whether that good faith and handshake and common sense is going to prevail. And what can you do to assure us that that's going to occur?
Extra question?
Okay. Ready to move on?
I got, through the chair, I'm going to just speak for myself here. Item 45, where Bill, you said it doesn't really matter, Town Council, to change that wording the way the board, whatever,
Yep.
care less.
Yep, okay with that.
Number 47, no, it's staying in there. 48, no, we're not going to omit that. 49, I have an issue with because it's such a large change. And 50, we're leaving it the way it is. So it's 49 that it comes down to.
Yeah.
I agree that 49 is a large change, and I
Yeah.
don't think we're
On
going to be...
45, it can go either way, I don't care, you want to have it the planning board, have it the
Yeah.
planning board.
Yeah.
I understand Ernie, what you're saying, but as we've all spoken, if planning board's in there instead of that, one half dozen or the other.
Okay.
The other ones on issuance of the occupancy with the loom and all that, it's always been there, not changing it. not changing 48 and not changing 50.
And I think everyone is reasonable. If there's a
Right.
water condition, weather
We've
condition,
always,
it
it's
is
one
what
of
it
us all the
is.
time.
Yeah.
So 49 is a hang-up,
Yeah,
the way I see it.
well, to the chair, Ernie, through the chair.
Go ahead.
I think Jay highlighted the fact of 49 would be too significant of a change at this time for us to undertake. So it's regarding the other 4 items. I don't have a problem with changing it to planning board for the 45. The change on 47, that's, again, to Mike's point, we've always granted relief in situations like that for all applicants. The signage, I'm okay with either one, the change. It doesn't matter, either way, it gets reviewed by us,
Right.
and it has to be in compliance.
It isn't gonna change
Doesn't,
anything.
or it doesn't, I'm okay if
I'd rather just keep the language in there, the content. It is-
Okay. And then I think 50 is just a procedural issue at the end of the day. I think it's a wording thing. I think when Mark hands out the building permit, he can make note and say, hey, when I go out and see the soil test, I want to see the staked out, because it is a tight lot. It's not like it's a 5-acre lot and it doesn't matter where you put the building. So Mark's very flexible in those things, and he's, wants something with an as-built, he requires it. So it is what it is. I think 49 is just too much for us to take at this point in time.
Anybody else have any comments? All right, Jay, so we can, all right, the way I looked at it, we closed the public hearing. We wrote up the order of conditions. It was sent out to the board members. They reviewed it. I think one member came back with a couple of comments. Everybody else was no comments.
That's the only one?
Signed it. We approved it. I signed
Huh?
it.
Mike, you had comments?
This is what, this is
Another
what's before
Two board
us.
members.
This is what we're going by.
But just to be fair, as I said last time, and it's on the record, that when the comments came out to us and they were blind copied, we are reviewing something that is prepared by a guy smarter than us in this regards, in a lot of regards, in a vacuum.
You're talking about me, not Bill, right?
Brace for impact. Brace for impact.
But no, the impact is, to be fair,
I had
Mr.
to
Chairman.
It's just low hanging.
that I did not respond because I didn't have the benefits of my comrades on this board, and I was in a vacuum. I can't talk to my wife about it, or my dog if I had a dog,
That-
right? But I'm saying, okay,
Go
I'm
ahead,
just
go
saying,
ahead.
just because it comes to us in an email and it says, I need a response, we don't have the privilege of the board members with us.
That's why I wanted to keep the public hearing open. That's why I advised the applicant, you'd be better off having the public hearing stay open until we made these decisions. They insisted they wanted the public hearing closed. You guys voted
I
to
don't
close
not
it?
disagree.
Go ahead, Bill.
Mr. Chairman, you're absolutely right. In the haste to accommodate the applicant by closing, which seemed to be very important to them,
Yeah, they insist-
we got ourselves into this situation.
Right.
We were rushed.
We rushed, we tried to accommodate,
Right.
we drafted something, we should have kept it open so that we
This
discussed
is
it
the way
in
the
open
applicant wanted
session.
it, though. Yep.
And that's the lesson.
That's why
in
we
my
are here
opinion.
where we are. Now. That's a lesson learned. Exactly.
Well-
It'll never happen again.
Through the chair, it's also, I think one of the lessons learned is that when we draft a decision, I guess before we bring it back to our board for the final vote on a final decision, so there's 2 things. One, I would prefer that the decision that we're 95% done, with all the content of the decision, then goes to Jay for his review when it's 95% done, just because I'm a taxpayer.
I agree.
Okay, and Jay's wears expensive suits.
I agree with that.
And the other thing is that all draft decisions should be shared with the, representatives for the applicant, the engineering firms as well, should be shared with them throughout the process. So, I mean, those are just the 2 procedural things that,
Again,
normal
all of that
process is.
goes away if we kept it open and had it at the next meeting.
it's just procedural things,
Yep,
so.
yep.
All right, so,
Can I offer something that might
go
be
ahead.
practical, that wouldn't invoke any procedural peril for the applicant? It strikes me, from what I'm hearing correctly, and I may be wrong because the board hasn't voted, that you're okay with the change to 45, and the other ones you kind of want to just leave alone.
Yep.
Assuming that's the case, rather than changing 45, wouldn't it maybe make a little bit more sense? That way, no one is filing, we're not creating a new appeal period where someone could come out of the woodwork and appeal this permit, to just write a letter, have the board authorize a letter, essentially to Bill and to the applicant, to state that to the extent that the town engineer does not approve, because it's subject to the reasonable approval, then the planning board expects that it will be presented to the planning board for their review. So if it comes to them and Bill's like totally cool with it, great, awesome parking lot, good, go with God, you're fine. If Bill says that's inadequate to me, it goes to the planning board, because you've already said that that's the likely process anyway.
That's the process.
So that would potentially, if that's the change that you're okay with,
It's an assurance.
then you just say, like, this is our expectation, and then there's some assurance that people know that that will be the process. So then you're not changing anything. No one creates a new appeal period.
File on both sides.
And there's something that folks can rely on. I think that may make some sense.
Yeah.
You could add other things to the letter, because there's been some other things discussed, but I think that one, if that's the one that you're comfortable with, you're not that comfortable with the others, and I don't think the applicant even needs the other changes, quite frankly, but
Bill, are you comfortable with that?
I have no issue with that,
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm fine with
honestly.
it. I'm fine with that.
I'm good with the recommendation of Jay, with what he's revising regarding number 45. And I think we're pretty, the procedural items related to 47, 48, and 50 are pretty well procedural issues. And we've shown flexibility regarding those, so
It's 49.
49's,
I mean, it could literally be as simple as, motion to have the Bill and Jay work on a letter for the planning board to send to the applicant regarding the process for 45, and to reject the other proposed changes to the other conditions. I mean, that's,
It's a simple motion, if the board's in agreement with that.
Yep, for 45, I've got no problem with that. But what's our flavor on 49?
well, if you're rejecting the proposed change, there's no flavor necessary. If you want to consider the proposed change, you're going to have to ask the applicant to file an application for a substantive change to it. I think that's not in their best interest.
Yeah, right. All right, so we change 45 and we leave the rest the way they are as the decision was written. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, I think there's an understanding that there is a conflict with 49, but however, this means that we won't be able to,
I think
we'd like to change the wording on it, I think, but
we can't
we
do it
just
without
can't
it.
do it in
No.
the form that we're in.
I think you're also approving the clerical error to 47, not the additional language, but the clerical error that was the certificate of occupancy twice, and I think a little
Correct.
spelling thing or something.
yeah, which is, I think I pointed out.
So that's fine.
Okay.
I would like to, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
say that I support what you all are saying, and I do wish that the applicant would see the fact that in my profession as an architect for 30 years, that I don't think up short of 49, I don't think any of these other things being left in there is going to be punitive to the applicant whatsoever, in my opinion. This is just me, saying that if I was them, I think that those would be okay. They're going to get worked out and they're fine, and pretty ordinary, a little clunky on the occupancy thing, but it's all pretty customary, contents, whether it's contents of a sign or, it's there one way or the other. So I don't think that should be a detriment. I wish, I'm just saying, and I wish we could just go forward and we get this moving, and 49, I can't really address it, is pretty substantive, that we'd have to open it back up and then that whole thing. So, but otherwise, I'd like to support this project moving forward. But I'm saying that from me to the applicant is I think these are okay. I'm not a lawyer, but from my standpoint, as a guy builds buildings for 30 years, I don't think these are a problem generally.
Well, also 49 doesn't really have any, the approval is done by the police chief regarding the traffic study and the plan. So we're just given a copy of it. We don't even approve.
We can make a motion to,
So it'd be a motion to approve the change to 45,
Yep.
approve the clerical error, change the clerical error of
47.
but not the new language at the end,
Okay.
and to otherwise reject the other proposed changes, and further to provide the applicant with a letter that states that the planning board will review any non-approval of any alternative parking plan.
would someone like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion as presented.
Am I not going to be allowed to speak?
No.
Why?
All right, can we second it?
I'll second it.
Can I allow her to speak to you?
It's your call, Ernie.
You have a question?
Public hearing,
It's not a
No, it's not
vote.
a public hearing, it's a public meeting.
public meeting, but the.
No, I don't have to take any questions from the floor if I don't want to.
I'm sorry, what?
Just get a standing feel and let you speak.
Okay,
If you have a question, I'm not going to listen to
okay. My question is,
excuses for it.
that in the last hearing that we had, it was, I read into the minutes what Leonard said about, it was actually downgraded to a traffic management with the police chief. He respectfully requested that the board gave me the condition in the waiver to have a traffic management plan. Everybody here knows it was a traffic analysis. We all know that we used an expert.
Do you have a
I
question?
In the minutes, we have the minutes. This is the part that I'm asking the question about. When we have verbatim, all of you on tape saying exactly that it was a traffic analysis, that Leonard himself specifically said to give me a waiver and a condition that it would be between me and the police chief. Never, after that point, was it discussed that there would ever be an engineer to stamp this or see this. So number 49 is not substantive. Number 49 is you need to take something out that was never discussed or agreed on. So my question is, we're not changing the wording as far as, we're not adding something, we're taking something out that was never there. It was never there. I read it into the minutes. And it also says in the minutes that strike traffic, strike odor. And Leonard, right here, was the one who had the final say, because he was the engineer on this, said it was a traffic management between me and the police chief. Not an engineer, not a study. So my question is, why is everybody here still talking about an engineer? And why do we have an engineer in 49 when it was discussed that's not going to happen? So the substance is we're not adding substance, we're taking away from something that was a mistake that was put in.
That's your question?
My question is
You asking that?
why is it considered substance when we're taking something away that was never put in? That's what I'm asking.
The deal is, it's been stamped by the clerk, so it's a closed deal no matter what.
Yeah. You asked us to close the public hearing, and we did, and this is what
Just changes it
has
from
resulted. If the public hearing had stayed open, these matters could have been cleared up before the decision was written and authorized. So,
I did a second.
yeah, okay. All right, all those in favor, roll call vote,
We're voting on to change it.
changing 45 and leaving the rest in the
And doing
The clerical on
clerical
47.
error on 49, is that the other?
47.
47, okay.
And no changes to 49,
No
or,
changes to the other ones.
because we can't make the changes tonight.
Right, they're saying it has to be a public hearing if we want to change
Right,
49.
because of the size of it.
Yeah.
But
You want to-
the point is that we believe, a couple of us believe,
Yeah.
it was never originally in it, and it came from later, after the fact, but whatever.
And I
the mo-
agree completely with what Teresa's saying, but we can't change it.
Correct. We're handcuffed a bit, so, all
Horses
right.
out of the barn.
I would change it right now if I could, but I
Yeah,
legally
sorry.
cannot do
Yep.
it.
Motion's been made and second. Roll call vote.
Les Stevens, aye.
Mike Swicker, aye.
Regrettable Aaron Sokrat, aye, but yes, aye.
Oh, Jake Schultzberg, aye.
Ernie Mac's aye. Okay, so,
Those will be changed.
Okay.
Cleaned up.
Yep.
Now, if they want to open up a public hearing or redo that 49, I'm game. I'll listen to whatever.
Well,
should we explain the options that they have, or should we just
No.
move on to our agenda?
Okay.
All right,
What did we say about 47?
47, we're taking out,
47, the
misprint.
clerical error
Clerical.
here and the removal
Correct.
of the second reference to the occupancy permit. But they had also requested a
All right,
sentence
we got- What's we got?
in a different version
Carl?
than you have here.
Okay, next item on the agenda.
Same stuff as.
I know, it was printed twice.
Discussions next.
Staying around,
Yep.
Jay? Sticking around?
I'm not sure we even need the exec session.
Yeah, I don't.
I just wasn't sure if it's on the
was
agenda.
on there just
Yeah,
in
it's on the
case.
agenda, it was on there
Things went south.
just
Yeah,
in case.
yeah, it was on the agenda, executive session strategy with respect to litigation, the 93 Davis Street site plan approval.
I think we should. I think we should. Yeah, I think we should. I think we should have that for, to discussion purposes related to 49.
It's up to you, I'm happy to
Yeah.
stick around. You
think it'd
guys
be
can finish
best
your
if you-
business and
Yep.
I'll,
Everybody's talking, I can't, go ahead, Jay.
if you want me to stick around, I'll stick around. You finish up the rest of your business and hold the.
So it
exec-
sounds like a few of the members are saying that, yes, we want to keep executive session on, but let's bump it to the end of the meeting.
Correct.
Is what I'm hearing.
Okay,
Yes.
that's okay with Jay.
Yep, Joe could stick.
Well, less than having it,
Drive out here
than
again?
having it right now, but yeah, no, fine.
All right, so
Yep.
we'll go into executive session at the end of the meeting,
Yep,
and we'll come out of it
Yep.
for the purpose of adjourning. We'll have to do a roll call vote and all that for that.
Yep.
All right, bill number 2, Gilbo Street Extension.
Yeah, we have Carol Gogolinski and Bill Cogley here.
Hi, Carol Gondolinsky, 55 Island Road. This is my son-in-law, Bill Cogley, and he's my business partner as well as my son-in-law.
We're just looking at
We're,
Do you have a plan?
aware of Gilboa Court extension.
We have a plan with that?
Yeah. Yeah, Ernie, right here. What?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I knew it, Bill put it someplace. Okay, go ahead, Carol, I'm sorry.
And basically, that's the plan that was
Yep.
presented to you.
Yep.
What we'd like to do is go before the planning board and request duplexes on that property. And what we want to know tonight is what would you like to see? What would you like us to bring in for the request? When we come in, are you going to want to see the plans for the houses, or that would be a little later on down the line?
This is just for discussion tonight, so yeah.
6
okay.
lots, I think.
Yeah, I would,
What would you like to tell us, or anything?
So originally, there were 6 lots, right, Carol?
yeah.
Is that 6 dwelling units?
6 dwelling units, yes.
Right, and are we still
Yeah.
at 6 dwelling units?
No, I'm going to go to 12 if they're
You want to double the
townhouses.
dwelling units, is that clear?
Their request,
Correct.
No, but as far as dwelling units, just to be clear, it would double dwelling units.
Exactly.
Okay,
So,
that's what I want to hear.
just through the chair, I think the one thing that we would look for is whether they're going to, coming off the right of way, whether they're going to be a shared driveway and split into the duplexes or townhouses, or if it's 2 single driveways coming off of the right of way. I think that's one thing that will need to be reflected in a revised plan. In a revised plan that will be needed, whether it's that, and then I think I'm okay with the structures and the footprints not, changing.
There's only 2 house lots that are going to be not having shared. 4 of the house lots now have a shared driveway.
Okay,
So basically, the footprint you see for the house is the exact footprint I'm going to use for a duplex, so that won't change. The 4 lots going to the right, everything's going to stay identical. The only lots that are going to be in question are the first 2 driving in left, because those will be a shared driveway. It will just show a Y at the top of the house. It'll be very
yeah. Yeah, I'm just taking like what they did on Northwest Main, where each one of those townhouses has an independent driveway.
different application.
Correct,
Houses are further back.
correct.
What would be what would be preferred order, do you not care?
One thing, to the chair. Very top 2 duplexes that have that longer shared driveway. How wide is that driveway where it's shared?
It'll be what's required, what's the,
I want to, because the thing is,
Yeah.
you're going to have
right,
4 houses there.
right,
There's
right,
going to be plenty of times you're going to be doing this.
exactly, yeah.
Snowing out, you got 5 feet that 20 feet is now 10 feet.
Right,
I want to know how wide you're gonna have that driveway.
okay.
Because wide, not only that, you're gonna have propane for heat.
Probably.
So your propane truck pulling in there, and the guy wants to get home in the house next door, and he's in the middle of the road. There ain't gonna be no room for the poor guy to get in, and the UPS guy showing up, or the prime guy at the same time. These driveways nowadays, my biggest hang-up is always everybody wants to build them too narrow, and it causes problems down the road.
What do you mean? There's-
So we need to know, I wanna know how wide these driveways are gonna be, all coming off the
Now,
hill.
when you talk about the width of the driveway, you're talking about the width of the paving?
Right.
The width of the driveway. I know I live on Island Road, okay? We got the gravel thing. It's almost a mile before I get to my house, which is a private road. And we have different areas where we can pull off, because we're meeting people all the time.
Yeah, but this has to be paved.
The paving area, Breathing Bay is. Springtime, you got 6 inches of rain and you get a snowfall, you're gonna plow. You know you're going on
Yeah.
the lawn.
1, 2, 3, 4,
You know,
5,
well, like,
6.
I've all lived in town long enough.
Yep.
So just lay it out. So
Yep.
I can
Yeah.
see.
Bill, go ahead.
I like a wide driveway.
So I have a question for Jay.
Regarding this?
Jay, we have a situation where we have a request for a number of duplexes. We also have a bylaw that pertains to shared driveways versus common driveways. Shared driveways are up to 2, common are 3 to 5. So the duplexes that we see here on the plan are shown as one lot, but, you know, that driveway will service 2 units on the duplex. I'm curious about, is a common driveway special permit needed for that scenario?
The duplex is allowed?
So if you have 2 duplexes, so 4 units,
Yeah, let me show them the plan
4
up
units
close.
instead of 2.
yeah.
This is the old plan.
So they're going to come in here, and now this is going to be 2 units, this is 2 units. So you've got 4 units serving on one driveway. So,
So if it were lots, if it were individual lots, that would trigger
Yeah.
the special permit for a common driveway. If
It looks like it does, right? Because they're separate lots serving
yeah, it splits it.
two.
Yeah, and then these
So
become
it's 4 units, so I don't know. It's something to think
Driveway
about.
serving one duplex seems okay, or one driveway serving a duplex seems fine.
All right.
Not dwellings. However, I don't have a problem with definitely going as wide as what would be required for a common driveway.
Yeah,
I think they might need to take this driveway back over here.
for us, it becomes an issue of 4 people sharing the service requirements on a driveway, the maintenance and upkeep. 2 can be easy enough to settle, but when you get 4 different parties, and that was the goal, I think, the intent of the bylaw.
Until it splits, it should really be a road,
You know.
the road width.
Yeah.
Until it
I mean,
splits.
yeah,
This is a private road, right?
no, it's public.
Wide as the main road.
The road's going to be public, but the driveways will be private,
Yeah.
I mean,
So you almost have 2,
You have 4 units being served on one driveway.
yeah.
But
I guess as part of the duplex requirement, we could have a condition that they have a homeowners association for the driveways.
Yeah.
And that could satisfy
That solves
that
it.
issue.
that solves it.
Also, just on the third house lot going in, where it's a shared driveway,
Yeah.
I can get a separate driveway on that lot.
Correct, yeah.
Only one that'll have 4 units on one shared
This is
driveway.
a farther retreat one.
Is the last.
It's the last one, retreat?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can do on that number 3 and number 4, number 3, you can do another driveway with an easement across number 4's property.
all right, well, they're here for discussion, so if we're going to kind of give our blessing to,
Yeah,
come
that's
back
all.
with the plans and
Yep.
stuff. But
I think you see it on the driveway, I mean, you see it all the time, and I think it's lousy, you know. Here you have 4 houses, and you give them a driveway 12 feet wide. It's like, come on, you know.
Just has to be
Just think-
passable.
Yeah,
Make
stick with that.
make it like 20.
What you want to
18.
do, I got no problem doing it, with duplexes.
Well, I mean, I don't have, I see some significant changes that have to be made, because, I mean, you're going from, how many houses were there?
6 units to
There was
12 units.
6?
It-
6.
So
But-
you're going from 12 cars a day to 24 cars a day probably, you know, you're gonna have a
You're
lot more
doubling-
traffic. a
You're
lot-
doubling the intensity.
Yeah, you're doubling up the whole project.
So, I mean, but the,
Just want to make sure they're gonna,
Yeah.
it's gonna have to be some significant changes, I think, to
I,
done.
I mean, it's not
Yeah.
like they're losing a
Well,
lot,
I'm not
and then they're
opposed
all
to it,
going
but-
fit.
yeah,
I liked it as a plan for single-family dwellings. I'm not
well,
saying I'm against it, but I don't see how this could be the same plan if you're gonna put
it's the same.
twice as many people down there. and
Yeah, I think there'll be have some changes, you know what I mean, some modifications to
Yeah.
it, but I don't think it's,
Yeah,
I think I'm okay
I don't
with
think we turn it down, but I don't
think you-
think we
I don't
turn
think you
it
can.
down. I know one neighbor that's not gonna like it, but I think you have to, you're gonna have to, make some changes to the plan, or the way you're gonna handle traffic and the number of cars and stuff. I mean, it's gonna be, you're doubling
Yeah.
up on everything now.
but you got a big cul-de-sac there.
Yeah, and this is, basically is, we got 14 acres here. When we did Reading Landing, we did the same thing. Actually, we have 7 duplexes on Reading Landing.
Yeah, beautiful project too, Carol. It's a very nice project, yeah.
Yeah, and we're hoping this one will be just as nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
No, I'm not opposed to it. I just think we need to,
You need to get us a real good drawing on how you want to lay that.
right, how you want to lay it out now.
How you want to lay it out, how you want to have your driveways all going.
Right.
Because now you're not going to have, you're going to be doubling up. So how is the two going to come into the one? How you going to do
It's going to
it?
be the equivalent of this, basically,
You know?
We will,
of this quality
we
presentation.
understand, but we don't have to actually come in with building plans at this point.
no,
You got to do
No.
what this is.
no,
Well, what are you doing?
just an updated plan.
Right.
Bill, is this
Update
what-
all that stuff on how you're going to lay it out.
It sounds
Yeah.
good. All right.
you got-
And the,
I think I'm correct.
Nothing better than that.
yep,
Have a print,
Well,
an updated print, the actual layout of how you're going to set.
Oh, yeah, we'll need a print, yeah.
Where you're
Sure.
going to have your driveways curb cut.
So the big issues likely are going to be addressing traffic
Right,
to and
what do you
from.
mean by addressing traffic? What do you want?
I'm going to defer to the board on that.
I think, yeah,
You would probably have to make sure that Gilboa Court, as it's standing, or any improvements to it, can handle the additional traffic that you're proposing.
6 more houses,
Yeah.
right.
yeah, well,
That's a tough road to come out of.
it's already an existing road and access, but I think what Mike highlighted is when you've got a shared driveway situation for that last lot, if that can be widened, and I think if you can eliminate the shared driveway between 3 and 4, that would be in the best interest of those folks as well as the applicant. And you've got enough space here and area on the site to make everything else work regarding,
You can make it work, but
Yeah. that's it. I think I'm okay
Well,
with
the
it.
traffic stuff, what are you looking for?
Ju-
Well, we're doubling the traffic, or part.
Again, in my opinion,
Yeah.
I think,
Why are you here?
Well,
well, if you're going to take my opinion,
Reading,
That's why we have you.
I think an engineer needs to look at it and do an assessment on what the impact is.
Right.
They have to look at not only, this little section of roadway, they have to look at
The whole
Gilboa Court. Can it accommodate the additional flow?
Because it was contentious at only 6 at one point.
so,
7, or how many units?
yeah. And-
Right,
Never
and
mind,
for me, I think you need somebody that's disciplined in traffic analysis and engineer
Yeah.
to do that sort of thing.
Yeah, like an outside consultant, they got to have their own
And,
engineer.
yeah, I mean, anybody can,
Reason being, it's gonna be the extra beating on the rest of the road that's gonna take the real pounding, the old part of the road.
well, there's a couple of narrow points
Well,
on the
that's what I'm
road,
getting
too.
at. It's gonna
That's
take-
concerning.
It's one thing when you have 20 people, it's another thing when you have 40 people. And
So-
You know that. So, that's gonna be the touchy spot. And like you said earlier, that's the touchy spot right there.
It was a touchy spot. Originally, I wasn't here for this one, it seems like it was contested.
It was.
So, but I think if you use Reading and Court, I think that's a nice, what you highlighted, it's a nice setup. Reading Court, Reading Landing.
Reading Lane.
Reading Landing, what do you-
Yeah, it's very similar to that.
Yeah.
with-
So the proof is in the pudding, they do good work, so, but it has to be shown.
Yeah, no,
But it's
agree.
the rest of the road, the rest of the ball of that.
So, I mean, do you have a feel of how we
I got a feeling what you want, yeah.
Okay,
So
Cool.
I appreciate your input.
yep.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we came. I noticed that. I went into a thing I found on the bylaw that said, we invite you in, and then Bill told me, no, that doesn't mean you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I appreciate that you.
Yep.
Good to see you again.
Thank you. Appreciate
Good
it.
to see you guys.
All right, yep, thank you.
Take care, thank you.
Do we have anything else?
Yep, we do.
Okay, next thing, Bill?
Yep, we should have Whiten's Reservoir people online lurking. Oh, there they
There he
are.
is. All right. There we go.
Okay.
Sorry. Long
I
meeting.
should know his name. I should.
Thanks for sticking it out, you guys.
Always fun.
Okay. What do we got, Bill?
So we got a letter in your packet. Actually, it's been revised a number of times. The latest is from today. I distributed that separately. It should have been on top of
Yeah.
your folders from Jennifer.
Yeah, okay.
And so just to give you an update, you may recall at one of our last meetings, we did some core tests.
Yeah, that's us.
The paving thickness was inadequate. They have committed, and Jude had actually sent me something today. I haven't had a chance to look at it regarding surety revision. But that's on the horizon. I've got to look at it, review it, make sure I am in agreement. If I'm in agreement, so with regard to the request, which is basically the release of a number of lots in addition to the 2 that have been released, there are 3 things I think that needed to get done. One is revise the surety to account for the differential in pavement. Jude had submitted me some numbers. I've got to look at that.
Okay.
Number 2 pertains to the deeding and recording of the 5-acre conservation parcel. The way the decision reads is that that is to occur prior to the release of the 3rd and subsequent lots.
Yes.
And the 3rd issue is escaping me right now. I'm not sure if you guys can help me out.
Cool.
Bill, I only have those 2 on the means to be satisfied.
Okay.
What were the 2? Again, sorry.
Release of the lot.
The surety,
Yeah,
Really, the road?
updating the surety.
Yep.
And the second is the deeding of the conservation land.
Correct. Correct. And a schedule.
Well, I'm working with the developer, as a matter of fact,
On that.
the meeting is
It's ongoing?
there, I think, at 8 or 9
Okay.
a.m. tomorrow.
I think that was the 3rd item was that we would get our more communication and
I'll take some
schedule.
photos, I'll circulate those after I go out there.
Excellent.
But I'm expecting to see the place look a lot neater and more organized.
I took a ride up a couple days ago, and it's much better than it was.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I'm
100%.
actually looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, I mean, I don't know that we can actually act or release any covenants until those issues are cleared up, can we?
So I would suggest asking them what their idea is on a timeline. And as a matter of fact, I'm seeing emails go back and forth right now between conservation, them, and town council.
Okay.
So,
May I interject? Unless there's something that's gone on since I left the office at 6 o'clock, I believe that the form of the deed has been approved by town council, and we just need signatures. That is my understanding. And I know we might have the opportunity to have electronic signatures, but I believe in form, content, and whatnot, that has been satisfied. So once it's signed, we will get it recorded immediately. The surety, perhaps we're premature with requesting, because I know the board will need to vote on the surety unless it's something that can be accepted in the form that was submitted by Jude. Does the board need to vote on the increase of the surety?
I'd be okay authorizing Bill, you know.
Well, Ernie would
Ernie.
be the one to
Correct.
sign.
Authorize Ernie.
There's an agreement form that goes with the surety, so this would be an amendment of that original surety form, identifying the increased dollar amount.
Correct.
And then I think we have cash on, Bob, do you know?
Yes.
Yeah, it's cash.
Okay.
So
Okay.
they would simply make an additional deposit, and then we would include that in the same account.
Yeah.
So I'm proud to sit here and say that we've had a significant improvement with progress and development, and hopefully satisfying all of what we expected probably a year ago. So we are moving at a pace that far exceeds all of what we have presented to the board prior to tonight. The thoughts from NQOW are that we will be able to perform as quickly as we possibly can, but certainly before the next board meeting. And so tonight it is requested that the board vote on agreeing to release those pending the recording of the deed and approval and signed surety amendment, that's the proper verbiage, and deposit of that money. So that we can not sit stagnant and wait.
So can I ask?
Go ahead, Bill.
So Jennifer, can you tell us what the status is on the affordable unit?
So we submitted that actually 90 days ago yesterday. We are waiting on a response, and lovely COVID, I believe, has delayed the state's response to our request. But we are actively working with the agent that's been hired and hope to have we were given a 90-day turnaround time when we originally applied. Hopefully, sooner than later on that as well. And if there's anything that the board would like submitted as far as dialogue or status, we can certainly ask the agent to obtain that so we can show you what's been filed or maybe a formal status.
So my recollection is that that was the third thing I was thinking of in terms of timing, that in terms of releasing lots. So, you know, I guess it's appropriate to also address that.
I mean, I understand.
Do you just want a copy of the application, or what do you?
No, my recollection is, from the decision is, you needed approval from DHCD by this point. That's my recollection. If I'm wrong, correct me.
I believe we just needed to file the application. I'm pulling it up right now.
I think it's in the amendment, perhaps. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I know, Bob, your mic is giving us a lot of feedback. I can't seem to mute you.
Yeah.
Now I gotta figure out how to shut it off.
No, it's better.
Fine, that's better. That's better. You're good.
Some background static.
Okay, go ahead, Bill.
Okay, so I lost my train, Bob.
Yeah.
Bob was entertaining me.
The HTC.
Yeah, so I believe the amendment to the flexible development special permit contains the language. This is my recollection.
Okay. And I'm.
Yeah.
Can I say this, if you don't mind? If there is a delay, which we know a lot of things have been delayed, just some proof of they've had it. It is there.
It's been submitted and received.
Everything's being pushed back, you know, let's say 2 months or an extra 90 days. Something in black and white to prove that it is
some correspondence
in the real process.
Well, I know they've submitted, they've provided, I've actually heard from the DHCD. I know they've submitted. I would have made an issue of that if I didn't know that.
Okay.
So, but it just means
step.
then we all know that, okay, they are all moving in good faith. It is all legit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But having something printing in the file showing that it's all going on, but COVID has created a
Right, you can,
circumstance.
Right.
From when this was all done long before this COVID stuff.
Yeah.
So we didn't anticipate these types of delays like we see nowadays.
I mean, you guys can vote to approve the releases pending on
Yes.
the surety being deposited.
Yeah.
The surety being
and-
increased.
You can, yep.
And what's,
The conditions, I would prefer to leave it ambiguous and say the conditions required in the decision. And then that would allow me some flexibility if this affordable housing one was an issue,
Right.
then I could look at it.
As long as they've been submitted. Which
Right.
they
we
have.
can do it that way, Jen.
The only other question I had for them is, I think they increased their request to 5 lots being released.
Correct. That's why I noticed that. I was trying to figure out the math.
I'm wondering if one of those 5 is the affordable unit?
Well,
Yes.
yeah.
The increase lot was done after I got an email from Jay from town council indicating that the deed met his needs. So we were very hopeful that we could move things along. But included in that request, Lot 8 will be the affordable unit, and as soon as approval is granted, we'll be constructing that.
I have no problem with that.
No,
Having the chair sign off with the increase in the cash surety and confirmation of the deed being filed for the 5-acre lot. And if Bill's satisfied with the progression with the state on the affordable unit, I'm fine with it because of COVID.
Is that your motion?
That's my motion.
Second. Motion made by Mike Z, seconded by Mike G. Any further discussion?
Yeah, discussion through the chair. Bill, how many lots are in this subdivision? Is it 12?
I believe 9?
12.
Oh, 12.
12 lots?
Yeah.
All right, so we would, 2 have already been released, this would be another 5.
Yep.
So we're at 7, okay.
Yep.
I just need the math.
And I do want to say the contractor that they've enlisted now is communicating with me regularly. It's
vast
quite a
improvement.
difference.
Okay,
Vast improvement.
okay.
And I know I made the motion,
Yep.
but I'll make sure in that motion it is for lot numbers 5, 8, 9, 10, and 12. And lot number 8 is the affordable housing unit
Okay.
on the record.
Yeah, all right, that's part of your motion?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so it was made by you, seconded by Mike G. All right, any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Les Stevens, aye.
Mike Rocco, aye.
Mike Swicker, aye.
Aaron Sokrat, aye.
Jake Schultzberg, aye.
Ernie Mac's aye.
Okay, you have the forms
Yep.
in your packet.
Do you want us to sign them all?
Ernie
All right.
has them.
We have the copy.
You have a copy.
Can we get a copy of the surety amount for this and the updated surety?
Yep,
So a complete surety record
Yep.
for this location
yep.
from end to end,
From what?
from the beginning and to where we are now?
Yeah.
All right, so-
Okay.
all right, anything,
For the next meeting?
No, that's it.
anything else, Jennifer?
That is all.
That is all?
This evening.
Okay,
All right, have a good night.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate
Yeah,
it. Have a good
bye-bye.
You too.
Okay.
All right, that's the end of,
number
well,
4.
you want to do meeting minutes tonight, or you want to wait till the next meeting?
We'll wait. I don't know if Mike's had a chance to.
They might not take
Nope.
2 seconds. They're
The
new.
next meeting, the net new,
Fine.
next meeting.
Meeting, because
Okay?
Jay's here.
Yep.
All right, so what the plan is to go into executive session.
Yeah.
Yep.
We need
So,
All right, and
Take a roll call vote to
Yeah.
go
for
into
the
executive.
purpose of discussing,
strategy,
Strategy with respect to threatened
And-
litigation regarding 93 Davis Street site plan
Right.
approval
and to come out of executive session,
and close.
for the purposes of
Purpose of
closing the
adjourning.
meeting.
yeah,
For adjournment. Yeah.
So cameras are off, right?
Nope,
not
not
yet,
yet.
we got to do this first. So,
I'll make a
make that motion?
motion to go into executive session regarding strategies with respectful to threatening litigation regarding 93 Davis Street and site plan review approval,
And to come out of executive
And-
session.
and come out of executive session for adjournment.
Second.
Motion made by Les, seconded by Jay.
roll call.
Roll call vote, please.
Les Stevens, aye.
Mike Rocco, aye.
Mike Swicker, aye.
Aaron Sokrat, aye.
Jake Schultzberg, aye.
Ernie Mac's aye.